and thought I'd make this little video for you guys, which is just going to break down each of the districts of Ullmanoch and tell you a little bit more about them and what's interesting. And yeah, so hopefully you'll get a better idea of what the city's actually like. I also am very aware that my drawing skills are pretty awful, so I'm going to be getting someone quite soon to repaint and, well, do the map, make it look nice, make it look pretty, and yeah, that will be a big improvement, hopefully. So I hope you enjoy this little video, and yeah, okay. Barrow Ridge. Barrow Ridge is the center of the city, and the place where it's all happening. It's where you go to find the high-end shops and the five-star restaurants. It's where the wealthy go to indulge and play, both above and below the mist. Above the mist, shoppers spend their cash this way and that, while beneath it, clubs like the Silver Shoe cater to the deepest desires of the city's wealthiest rifts. Above it all, the Grand Lion rules and takes his share. He is king of the high streets that look down on the rest of the city. They say that Barrow Ridge was built on an old Celtic barrow, possibly the largest in Scotland, or even the world. It's shocking, then, that no one has ever investigated the legality of this claim. However, it must be stated that it's shockingly cheap to get certain eyes to look the other way. Yarngate. A large and pretty area of town that sits below Lakeview. Yarnsgate is a place where people go when they settle down. It's middle class and middle lane, giving you all you need and nothing to want for. It's also the location of Ullmanoch University, a fine establishment built by the lesser-known scholar and scientist Jacob Fladmere. He built it when both of his brothers died in the war, and he inherited a house and money he didn't want. So, he put it to the community instead. Lakeview. Lakeview is the incredibly wealthy area just outside the main town, where the richest build their mansions around the beautiful shore of Loch Banreich. The cool waters are home to jet skis and pleasure boats in the summer, and thick, fat trout in the winter. Though, it's not all that it seems in this waterside paradise. Nothing is ever simple in Ullmanoch, and there's always a reason to be wary of water at night. Kingstown. On the other side of the bay, beneath the abandoned Moran Keep, sits Kingstown. A simple and close community looks after its simple and rather dull town, watching out across the water as the lights of the city glimmer just in sight. The population is mostly old now, the eager young fleeing it years ago for the better opportunities of the big city. So, here it waits, a relic of the old days, just waiting to be forgotten. Candle Street used to just be one road. That was until the Candlemaker Guild had a massive burst in business that spread all over the city. They grew and grew until the entire economy caved at the creation of the light bulb. Nowadays, Candle Street is nice enough, with a mix of offices and warehouses. It's a good place for tourists and locals alike, having some of the oldest still-standing buildings in the city. Tomb Street. Tomb Street used to be all industry and housing, but that all fell to pieces when it collapsed with the famous Plummer Lane bomb. No one knows who built it and set it off, but it changed the scope of the area forever. With everyone gone, Tomb Street became affordable living and grungy bars. Generally known as the ugly part of town, people are like to forget that this was actually the spot where Queen Nuala was buried. Not that anyone's about to get digging to find out. I mean, who has the time? Russet Way. The poorer area of the city, Russet Way is a sprawling mass of houses with the occasional tower block of some prison or business complex. It's a place for people to just get by in, 1 inch from the bottom and swimming for the air. Some people call it the rust bucket, because if you end up there, it means you've hit the wayside and there isn't much hope for you. Little do they know that there are some things in Russet Way that are completely unexplainable. If I were you, I'd steer clear from the retirement home. Old Harbour. Old Harbour would be nice if it weren't for the stink of the breweries and alehouses that dominate much of the seafront. Because of this, it's home to one of the crime centres of the city, where the underworld churns out its wretched business and swallows up lives as it marches on. Some gentrification has taken place in areas, making pockets of hipster cafes and bars and vape stores. Gods, I hate Old Harbour. White sails. During the 80s, there was a heavy move towards building up Ullmanoch to a higher standard. This came with vast amounts of shipping into the city, as well as a sudden boom in tourism. Much of that money was put into Corran Island, the island that took up much of the bay. It was quickly renamed White Sails and was filled with fancy restaurants, tourist attractions, and warehouses. After the economic difficulties of recent years, however, the upper cream of the wealthiest gangs have moved in there too. People often joke that White Sails now has more than a few stains in it, but it's still trying to cover up. Eden Bridge. Eden Bridge is the poorest area of the city, a downtrodden mass where the city dumps the things that it doesn't care for. The communities are tight here, but the law seems to keep its distance. In Eden Bridge, you look out for your neighbours because the government isn't about to. It's a dangerous place to be a mortal or a rift, and it's home to some of the darkest stalkers from mankind's imagination. Innis Bursad. To the north of Ullmanoch, you can see Innis Bursad on the horizon. It's a dark and somewhat daunting place, and it's not much different up close. Dotted with houses and sheep alike, the only building of any size and notice is the manor house of the Forrest family, whose descendants still inhabit it. It's said that the Forrest family fled the mainland after a disagreement with the King of Scotland. No one's quite sure why they actually fled, and why no one came after them, but it hardly matters. These days, you can hop on one of the tired old ferries that leaves Russet Way and check it out for yourself. Be careful, the sheep have been known to bite. I hope you enjoyed that. From this point on, the Old City will be streaming on Twitch at 7 p.m. BST. I was going to say GMT, but it's not GMT, it's BST. And I am also currently looking for some people to play on a Saturday game. Was going to be Tuesday. I think it's probably going to be Saturday now because I realized that I want to have more people be available to do it. And that's not going to be possible if I basically say Tuesday, because there's no chance the Americans and anyone further overseas than me is going to be able to come. So Saturday at the moment. We might also do a Tuesday game, but I'm not putting that in stone until I have a good storyline for that one, because I'm not going to juggle three just yet. But yeah, it's going to be in the same universe as the current Old City storyline. Your actions will affect the current campaign, and their actions will affect you. And yeah, should be pretty fun. So please apply. And yeah, I'll see you around.